Hey everyone, I'm 10 Types, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Battle Pass decks that are on the live Battle Pass well, they're probably not up yet if you're watching this within the first, I think, hour. So an hour after this video is posted, they should be up, I believe, 1 p.m. EST. Um, and yeah, it's with Twilight Masquerade decks, so I'll talk about those cards. Unfortunately, the website that I'm looking at, the Pokemon.com website, does not actually have the card images. We can kind of see them here, but not fully, and not for the other cards. So yeah, well, I'll go to a different website later, I guess now, which is the Limitless TCG website. This is a website I'd highly recommend you check out for various decks and a bunch of different things. It doesn't have everything, but it has a lot of things, including cards from the new set, which will be listed here at some point. I'm not sure if it's immediate, but it should be relatively quickly after. But in the meantime, you can look at the Japanese sets, Crimson Haze and Mask of Change, which will essentially be making up the Twilight Masquerade set. Oh, and also, if you are here within the first hour, that means you're probably subscribed, so thank you. And if you're not subscribed, then subscribe. I want to continue growing my community, and I got some big stuff planned coming up, especially with Twilight Masquerade. I will be making probably 2 videos every day for like a little while. We'll see, but not that long, but certainly the first few days at the very least, because there are some really cool decks, including the two decks, the Ogerpon, the Teal Mask Ogerpon EX deck, and the Dragapult EX deck. But yeah, here we can see the cards, and a lot of them are from Mask of Change, although some are from the Crimson Haze set. But anyways, the Ogerpon EX, the grass one, it accelerates grass energy from your hand to itself once every turn. Then you draw a card, and then you have an attack that is whatever it deals with Charizard. But let's look at the base deck. As I said, I am not the set isn't out on live, so I can't look at that yet. But here we can see the set list or the deck list, and we see two Ogerpon EXs, two grass ones, one of each of the other types. There's the fire one, there's the water one, and there's the fighting one. And then a copy of Luminion V. And then we see Professor's Research, Boss's Orders, Iono, Arvin, Carmine, Beach Court, Earthen Vessel, Ultra Ball, Ogre's Mask, Bug Catching Set, Energy Retrieval, Super Rod, Bravery Charm, Rescue Board, EX Pusher, a bunch of grass energies, a good chunk of fire energies, a fighting, a water, and a luminous. And then you get some more cards as you continue up the battle pass and continue to just play. And this will end up getting you these cards. I don't remember what level you need to be up to, but tier 16. There we go. So once you've done tier 16, you'll get all these cards. Although you could get them earlier from the in-game like crafting system if you want, but certainly there are cards here that you don't want to pick up, and weird cards here as well. So there's a lot of stuff to say about this deck, and Teal Mask Ogerpon EX has a lot of different use cases, and so do the other Ogerpon EXs, which I will talk about now, or in just a moment. But going to Limitless here, we can find ourselves an Ogerpon deck. So if we go here, you can look at cards, search City League deck lists, and we can see that it is being played in a few different decks, but most of these are kind of weird. We do see one focused around the new Sinistra and Sinistra EX, which is in the deck. Sinistra, for those of you who don't know, discard up to 3 grass energy from your Pokemon in play. It does 70 damage for each card discarded in this way. The idea is that you pair the grass Ogerpon EX with the Poltergeist, or no, Sinistra. There we go. And so you can go ahead and pair those two together. If you're doing that, though, cut all the other Ogerpons and cut all the other energy types. You want to go all grass in that scenario. Cut Ogre's Mask and probably potentially add more bug catching set cards, maybe 4 copies of that. You can see like a list here. We see an engine in the barrel engine, and we see lots of supporters and some stuff going on. But the big thing is that you want to do the Sinistra, and you want to do 4 of that Grass Ogerpon, which you will get later down the line. And you can do different things with it. But for the most part, you just want to go ahead and do a bunch of those grass Pokemon. So that's a fine way to do it. You could even do that with Toadstool EX. Would I recommend this? No, but it is an option if you want to do that. And you could do it with Raging Bolt EX. Raging Bolt EX. I don't remember if this was on the ladder or not, to be honest, previously, or the Battle Pass. But if you have this, you could pair these two together. If you are familiar with the Raging Bolt EX deck, you can do that with the Ogerpon, the grass one. and the Ogerpon EX, and that is probably the best way to play Raging Bolt EX if you are interested in that. But if you don't have it, then obviously don't worry about it. It's not like that good. It's all right. And then you have Regidrago V-Star. You can also play this. And Blissey EX. I'll pull these two up. Regidrago V-Star is a deck that some of you may have. And this will actually play the new Dragapult EX as well. So you will want to put a copy of that in, which, as I said, is on the Premium Battle Pass, which buy that. The Premium Battle Pass is in the second level. There's just two levels. Do not buy the, I think Premium Pass Plus is what it's called. Do not buy the thing that gives you an extra free 15 tiers. This is just almost never the way to go. What you want to do is, yeah, there you go, the Premium Pass, but not the Premium Pass Plus. So just get the one with the Dragapults. And yeah, you can play Dragapult EX, and then you want to play the Grass Ogerpon. This is a weird deck. We see lots of energy switches, and is it the best way to play Regidrago V-Star with the Ogerpon? Not necessarily, but you will always want to put in the Dragapult EX if you are playing Regidrago V-Star, so that's something to keep in mind. Then outside of that, there is the Ogerpon box deck. This deck is the deck that they are giving you, and in the City League tournaments, which is, there's a bunch of these, and this is results from the top quarter of the performances. This deck's only been played once, which is not a good sign. Only once. So here's a list. You can see, and I'm going to talk about the list, what they give you, but we see one copy of the fire one. I could see completely cutting this card, to be honest. One copy of the water. I could see a second copy. You see 3 copies of the fighting one, and of course 4 copies of the grass one. You see a copy of Tatsugiri, which, sorry, I thought it was here. It's not here. But you do have the Ogerpon EXs and the grass ones, and then the fighting one's really good at walls Pokemon with abilities, which is really great. And we see Luminous Energy, Legacy Energy. So it says to cut the highlighted yellow cards. Don't cut Luminous Energy. Cut the water, fighting, and basic fire energies. And then it wants you to add in lots of fire stuff. I would not recommend doing this. I would not recommend. Well, we'll get to this later, but don't do that now. I'll give you a copy of Mela, which you can use for Dragapult. If it's not in there, which it looks like it's not in it, so I'd actually recommend that. But yeah, don't add more of the fire one. You could add Radiant Charizard. This list runs that. And Legacy Energy, which is an A spec, and is the A spec I would probably recommend if you do want to do an Ogerpon box deck. I would not recommend adding Magma Basin. I guess switch cards fine. There, of course, you can kind of build it how you want, but make sure you get good supporters like Professor's Research, Iron or Boss's Orders, and you can add other supporters to your liking, but focused around these 3. And there's not too much else to say. Ogre's Mask is good, but don't go in with the fire stuff. It's just not very good. Focus around on the fighting Ogerpon EX, in addition to the grass one. You can add in the water one, and then you can maybe add in the fire one. It's up to you, but yeah, and then in terms of basic energy, just grass, Luminous Energy, of which they give you 0. So you will need more Luminous Energies. I'd 100% say, you kind of have to get those. They're not that expensive, I don't think, but I would highly recommend that you craft them if you want to play this deck and put in that Legacy Energy as well. You can put in Radiant Charizard and the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. And potentially you will want to craft a 3rd copy of the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX, but I don't think you have to do that. You can put the Penny, and you can kind of do what you want. Probably don't play Force Seal Stone. It's good in Pokemon Vs, but you don't run a lot of those. We can get into more details with it, but quite frankly, it's not really worth it. And lastly, you can play the Ogerpon EX with Blissey EX. So if you want to play Blissey EX, which is another new deck, you can play it with the Ogerpon EX. You don't have to. It's probably not the best way to play Blissey EX, but it is an option if that's what you desire. And honestly, might be the best way to play the Ogerpon EX. There are lots of different ways, though, and they're all kind of weird, but kind of cool, so you can check them out. But if you want to do the box deck, go in with mostly grass and maybe some other energies. Special energies, not basic energies. Oh, and apparently you get this full art. Lovely. Now let's move on to the better deck, Dragapult EX, which it's much better, right? So this guy does 200 for Fire Psychic on a Stage 2 Dragon Terra EX. Keep in mind it is Terra, but it's Terra of the same type. So the Terra only means, well, we have seen, heard some rumors about some of the Terra mechanic in the future, but as of now, it just means that you're immune to bench damage, which is not damage counters, which I will talk about now. because Dragapult EX does 200, but then put 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. This deck is going to be really, really good. It's much better than the Ogerpon deck, and by like a lot. So the Ogerpon EX deck has it can do all-right damage and has some versatility, but really the Dragapult EX deck is just drastically, drastically better. And so of course, oh here you go. They talk about it. So um, energy cost is awkward, and Manaphy's ability though, Wave Veil, and this is the same for Jirachi. There's a Jirachi that actually has some Pokemon does like booklets. I think it might have been an ETB booklet, but I quite frankly don't know. They had a booklet talking about Jirachi and said that it blocks certain things, which it didn't block. Manaphy, neither Manaphy nor Jirachi will block this. So this is damage counters, not damage. But you do want it. You can prevent damage counters being placed on your bench through most notably Rabsca, I think. This one just stops that. Toadschool EX also stops damage counters on your bench Pokemon with energy on it, and along the same similar line to that, you have Mist Energy, which will stop it. The damage counters being placed on your bench or any Pokemon that the Mist Energy is attached to, but by damage. But that's not so. You need to spend your attachment for it, or you could be running like Archeops, I guess, but that's kind of sketchy. The best thing is Rabsca and Technical Machine Evolution. That's what I'd recommend, but yeah, I don't know. You don't need to worry about that with Ogerpon, and of course Dragapult EX is well Dragapult EX. So you could counter for the mirror, but right now I'd say just focus on setting yourself up because your attack cost is awkward. However, you do have support with the Dracloak, which just draws you cards. It's the stage 1, but it's nice. That being said, you should still play Rare Candy. This list does run Rare Candy. It does run 4 caps of Arven. I'm going to check some lists, but I'm pretty sure you shouldn't cut those because they seem very good. Oh, and we can see it in this Champions League tournament. Yeah, they do run 4 caps of Arven, which is kind of what I was assuming. So it says the highlight cards are the ones you're supposed to cut, but as I said, with the last one, it's wrong. There are some issues. I think it's more all right. Oh wait, no, you never mind. The Arvens are like they say keep the Arvens. This is weird because they have cards of higher rarity. But so yeah, keep the Arvens. We see 4 caps of Luminous Energy. Okay, I didn't realize you get Luminous Energy here. You can just put those in the Ogerpon deck. So don't craft those. You get them here. It gives you Prime Catcher, which actually isn't the best ace spec. I'd probably recommend. You could do Prime Catcher. You could run Unfair Stamp, or you could run Neo Upper Energy. Or you could run Secret Box. I wouldn't recommend Secret Box. I'd say Unfair Stamp, Neo Upper Energy, or Prime Catcher. So if you don't want to craft another race spec, Prime Catcher will get the job done. But there's a few more nuances to get into with this deck. The biggest thing, of course, other than you probably want Arven to set up. Also like Eric's Invitation, cut that. Mela, oh, they do give you a Mela. I just missed that before, so you could keep that. They do give you a copy of Lance, which will set you up, and they give some different things. But the big thing here is Zadu. Oh, I can see it. There we go. So this will accelerate energy to your psychic energy to your presumably your Dragapult. The list also runs a Mewtwo from Crown Zenith. Cut that. You really won't be running any other attackers if we look at Dragapult lists. They run Radiant Alakazam as the Radiant of choice, which I think you get for free. Now, let me just check. Oh, maybe you don't get Radiant Alakazam for free. You get not that. Okay, so Radiant Alakazam you could play. You could run Radiant Charizard. So if you're like, oh, I don't have Radiant Alakazam, but I have Radiant Charizard, then you can just chuck that in. But Radiant Alakazam is nice for moving damage counters around. Outside of that, Rotom V is nice. I wouldn't say it's like required. You could run Cleffa as well. You want something to kind of set up behind, but Cleffa has a much, much, much lower HP than Rotom V, or really anything else in the entire game. So that's a little risky. Forest Seal Stone you could put in this list. In fact, you probably should put it in this list. Take it out of that Ogerpon deck and pop it in here. Outside of that, I'm not honestly overly familiar with Dragapult. Obviously, I haven't played it yet because it's not out, but you know, pretty solid list. And then you do want Zadu. Probably a 2-2 line is just pretty solid, as that is what we see here and in a lot of lists. Outside of that, there are lots of tech options you can do, but there are other ways to power this up if you so desire, and other decks you can play it with. So I'm going to look at the starter decks and talk about how you can incorporate the old cards into these new starter decks. First of all, we got ourselves Charizard EX. Charizard EX is a fire type. Well, it's not a fire type. It's a darkness type, but it uses fire energy. This is stage 2. It actually synergizes pretty all right with the Dragapult EX. So you could put those two together. And on top of that, you could also play Pidgeot EX in the Dragapult deck instead of Zadu, and then you do want to be playing Neo Upper Energy most likely, and potentially more copies of Mela. There are some different things you can do, but Pidgeot EX is a really good engine. I'd say more consistency and late game focused than the Zadu engine, which is focused on going faster out of the gate, but has more consistency issues. And potentially you could get hit by Unfair Stamp, Iono, Roxanne, any of those late game or even not so late game disruption supporters or ace specs. So yeah, Pidgeotto could be better. Keep in mind there is a card that will turn off Pidgeotto's ability, or sorry, Pidgeot. I've been saying Pidgeotto. Pidgeot EX's ability, which I don't remember. Oh yeah, Iron Thorns EX. There we go. Iron Thorns EX will be shutting your ability down. I was blanking on it, but I don't know how much it'll be played, to be honest. But if it is played a lot, you'll be kind of sad, but not that sad because if you have Dragapult EX, you can just knock him out relatively quickly, so it's not that big of a deal, and they don't really knock you out. So yeah, that's fine. And there's more info about the starter decks on honestly other channel. Check out the channel Uncommon Fossil for more info on these starter decks. But yeah, you can pair the Charizard EX and or the Pidgeot EX with the Dragapult EX. Next, we got Chien-Pao EX. Chien-Pao EX can play different water Pokemon. So the big thing is the water Ogerpon EX, the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX. You can go ahead and pop that into Chien-Pao EX if you so desire. I don't know if most Chien-Pao lists are playing it. I'm actually going to check. Look for Chien-Pao. Honestly, it hasn't been played that much because it's not as good right now, but you could put it in. I don't really know if people play it because it returns energy to your hand. It's a snipe-based Pokemon, but unsurprisingly, the list does play Radiant Ninja, so it's not necessarily needed in the scenario. Okay, people aren't playing Chien-Pao. You can put it in if you want, or people aren't winning tournaments with Chien-Pao as much. But yeah, Chien-Pao, you could put in the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX if you want, but you don't have to. It's fine though. And then Goldengo, probably not playing any of these new cards really. You could do weird stuff with Goldengo, but I personally wouldn't play those new cards. You have Giratina V-Star. This is the Lost Zone deck. So Lost Zone is really interesting. The Lost Zone deck, in my opinion, the Lost Zone deck, you can play various different things, including some of the new cards. You could do Dragapult EX with the Lost Zone engine. I don't think that's very good because running stage 2s with an engine that's not very precise and just like chucking stuff into the Lost Zone in a deck where you need the combo of Rare Candy in your stage 2, or you're just going so slow with like the Dracloak and not really doing any early game pressure at all. Seems kind of sketchy, but I know there are some people who are big fans of that, so you could do that if you really like Lost Zone and you want to play a Stage 2 Dragapult. Lost Zone is going to be a solid deck. I don't know how much it's played, I'll see, but it'll be fine. And then outside of that, you could also run some of the Ogerpons. If you are running in a really any Lost Zone deck, really any deck, honestly, you could put in the Fighting Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX card, which is, oh, and I believe the Ogerpons are also Altera, but Altera EXs. And so you could put in the fighting one though, and that one's really solid. You do need to obviously add in fighting energy if you want to attack with it, but I think it's a price worth paying. That being said, you might need to change up your deck a little. You don't have to though. You really don't have to. You could just put it in literally just the fighting Ogerpon EX as a wall, but it's pretty good. And then there is the water one. I wouldn't recommend playing that personally, but I know some people probably will. And yeah. Oh, one thing with Charizard EX, you could put in the Fire Ogerpon EX. Is that what I'd recommend? It's whatever. So let's pull up. It's called Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon EX, and it has been played just a tiny bit in Charizard, but not that much. But that is something that you can go ahead and do. Next is Zoroark V-Star. I don't really know who's playing this deck. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend playing this deck to be honest, but I know some people who are fans of it. But nothing too new. But this isn't second to lastly, Lugia V-Star. Yeah, so this one's probably the deck that gains the most. There's some kind of weird stuff going on here, but the big thing is that you can go ahead and you can put in Legacy Energy and Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX, the water one. And that's a really, really solid addition to Lugia V-Star. It's something I'd highly, highly recommend that you do. It's not something that you have to do, but you probably should. And so that's something, yeah, just do that once you get them. If you are playing Lugia V-Star, it's really good. It gives you a lot more depth and versatility in the deck, and it's just good. And your Luminion Vs as well should probably go in here. Lastly, we got Mewtwo EX with Zadu. And it runs a 1/1 Arceus V-Star. I always forget that this deck exists, but you can go ahead and pop in the another like Zadu, 1/1 Zadu into Dragapult if you want, but I personally wouldn't really recommend that, but you could. Aside of that, not too much to say about this deck, to be honest. It's probably the worst star deck. Oh wait, there's another one. Okay, there's Roaring Moon EX. So yeah, you can mix Roaring Moon EX with like Lost Zone and Fighting Ogerpon or whatever. But yeah, these aren't getting too many buffs from the starter decks, but from sorry the ladder decks. But the starter decks and ladder decks can mix together decently, and you do have obviously a bunch of options, which I mentioned. Last thing though, I do want to talk about the state of live and what's happening with the update. So if I go to the live forums, which are messy as always, but that's fine. I guess we can go to Pokemon TCG Live. Also, one quick question, or a few things. One, don't go to the general Pokemon TCG section, which does have a bugs and feedback section, even though it's not an actual like video game. It's just a physical game. But anyway, go to Pokemon TCG Live. Let's look at news and announcements. There's two new ones, I believe. There's a patch notes one and Twilight Masquerade release. So they are doing, I guess, these three things. They are adding the stuff to the shop, the products that you can actually buy, and code cards and stuff. I don't actually know what happens if you're doing code cards before the set release. Don't, I guess is my advice. But yeah, if anyone knows what happens down below. And also, this is at Wednesday, 1700. What's this Universal Time or whatever it's called? So that is something that you can check, just figure out what is in your region. But as I said, it should be an hour from when this video comes out. And then Scotland Violet Twilight Masquerade can be played in all game modes. Again, why did I say all game modes? There's only one and a half. There's like expanded, which is not doesn't have the ranked or friend matches, so it's kind of weird that said that, but whatever. And then they say that the battle pass will begin, and they are adding the cards as well. They didn't really say that. Oh no, I guess they did. The cards can be played, but they're being added to the game. You can't really see them right now, as far as I'm aware. Although right now the game's down for maintenance. And then let's look at the patch notes real quick. A few bugs they have addressed, which is really nice. But the new features, they're adding the new set. Here we go. We can see that this is where they said that they're adding the new set. They added visual effects when using A-specs. I'm actually very nervous about this. Right now, the A-specs are sometimes really, really bright for some reason. I don't really know if that's the case, but it sometimes is. So I was gonna say that's fun. It's just not good, but whatever. And then updated visual effects are Poison Burn and Confused special conditions. I don't really know why this is the case. Why they're updating the visuals. Of course, um, the big thing is the new set, but I'd rather them, I don't know, add like other cool stuff other than visuals every single update. But whatever, it is what it is. Then some cards being fixed, or actually I'll start from the bottom now. Fix an issue where iOS devices would like crash or something. I don't exactly know what that means because things can crash for a variety of reasons. That mine crashes sometimes, and it's just not great. But whatever. Good thing they are fixing that, and then fixing some gameplay battle issues. One, inconsistent display issue for reparenting damage actions in the battle log. I don't really know what that means exactly. That's good, I guess. Friction interaction between Primarina's Harmonix ability and Gudra's Slimy Room ability. I looked at these cards. The one like accelerates extra energy. Gudra like discards energy on a coin flip or something. I actually don't even know the correct interaction, but whatever. That's good, I guess. How do they even find this out? Because like there are lots of other bugs. There's a bug involving supporters with zero cards in deck, which has most notably affected Great Tusk. And so that's obviously something that they know about, which they haven't fixed yet. It might be I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know why that's an issue, but how do they find this? Like, who's playing Primarina versus Gudra? Um, and yeah, I guess it matters, but it's not like it matters that much. Whatever. And then they fixed an issue where you do not have the option to mulligan the setup hand if it contains no basic Pokemon other than Luxray, which isn't a basic, but is it's kind of like a basic, and Shedinja, which is a basic, but not really like a basic. It's weird. Um, so I guess they don't have the option, which you are supposed to have the option, which is like fine. Again, I don't really know who's like figuring this one out, but that is something that I could see myself playing. And then we got, although not, it doesn't seem good. Then we got Arazu. There's an issue where the battle log cards were not like in the battle log. The cards were not revealed to your opponent. I think this happened in not just the battle log, but I don't remember. But hopefully it's all fixed now, so that's good. That was definitely one that I heard a few people talk about that I had certainly noticed a few times in gameplay as well, and it was a bit of an issue. Fluttermane issue, or something with like tools happening. Um, yeah, that's fine, I guess. We got Rika doesn't shuffle the cards before placing them on the bottom of the deck. I honestly don't know how that issue like was found, but that's good. Um, River Room fixed an issue where tools were attached after devolving. Okay, that's kind of weird. And then they also had another devolving issue, or I guess evolving issue, where the effect of Daunting Pose did not, the ability on Machoke's Daunting Pose did not clear after it evolved. Okay, I guess it's like you can still have like the bench barrier. That's kind of weird. But whatever. That's good they fixed it and fixed an issue where certain deck search effects did not allow the player to choose the number of cards to take. Wait a second. Wait a second. What does that mean? Is this? I don't think this is the weird disconnect glitch where you can not choose all your cards, but it could be. It's like kind of buried here because they bury weird stuff. But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's I don't know. I don't know. I think it's an actual glitch because what the other thing it's like a glitch, but not really the same, not a consistent glitch. So I don't think this is the weird card selection bug, but that's good that they're fixing whatever that is. And there we go. Lovely. So they're not doing too much. Obviously, they're adding the new set, but outside of that, they're not really adding any new features that are like actual new features. Unfortunately, they haven't really done that in a while. And there's probably most likely they won't be adding any new features this year, which is not a good sign, but probably what's going to happen based on their past history. Just that's what it's looking like right now. I will obviously be very glad if they add new features, but we'll see. And I guess that's it for today's video. I hope I was helpful to you in building decks. And as I said, go to the limitlesstcg.com website for deck lists. Again, go to the home website, go to tournaments, go to city leagues. You could go to other tournaments, but right now go to city leagues. And you can scroll through a lot of lists. The database is mostly complete. There's like a few deck lists missing here or there, but for the most part, there's just a ton of different lists to look at. But I hope you enjoyed. And what Walking Wake EX Fluttermane, okay. And I'm not going to question it, but I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.